Hey boys and girls, today we're going to be going over Unit 1, Lesson 5, which is unknown angles. As we look at the do now, it says solve for x and find the measure of the missing angles. So as I look at this diagram and I start highlighting out the angles that I see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different angles. I'm just going to take a minute. I also want to underline them. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 different angles that make up this diagram. If you notice, the shape that I'm forming is a circle as I connect all of them. And this is that vocabulary word from Lesson 2, angles at a point. I have a point right in the middle, and all of these angles are being formed at that point. All right, they all share the same vertex. So I know that there's 360 degrees in a circle, which is why all these angles at a point should add up to 360 degrees. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up that equation right now. We have 2x, which is my first angle, plus 35, which is my second angle, plus x, which is my third, plus 85, which is my fourth. And again, it should equal 360 because there's 360 degrees in a circle. So now I'm gonna go ahead and combine my like terms. I know that 2x and x are like terms, and I also know that 35 and 85 are like terms. So 2x plus, really that's a 1x, gets me a 3x. 35 plus 85 gets me 120. And again, that's gonna equal 360 degrees. And then I'm just gonna solve this like I would any other equation. I'm gonna subtract 120 on both sides, right? I do the opposite sign, this cancels out. Now I have 3x equals 240. And then again, to get rid of that 3, I'm gonna use division because 3x is multiplication. The opposite is division. So when I divide out the 3 on both sides, I get x equals 80 degrees. So now if I want to make sure that I've solved the question completely, I want to just reread those directions. So it says solve for x, which we did. We have x equals 80, so this is good. And then it says find the measure of all the missing angles. And I don't know if we did that just yet. So I'm going to go back and plug that 80 in, so that way I have found all of the missing angles. So again, I know that x is going to be 80 degrees, so I can just fill that in. And here I have a 2x. 2x is multiplication, so it's really 2 times 80, and 2 times 80 is 160 degrees. And that would have been the missing angle right here. And now we are done. We found the measure of the missing angles. These we already knew, and we are good to go. All right, so let's slide down underneath to start with the first example. So as we read it, it says, in the following figures, AB, CD, and EF are straight line segments. That's really important. It says, find the unknown variables in the diagrams and the measure of each angle. This is kind of wordy, so I want to just make sure I'm breaking this down so I'm solving each part of it correctly. It says, find the unknown variables, which means I really need to solve for x, and I need to find the measure of each angle. If I don't do both, then I would really be not completing this question all the way. I wouldn't receive full credit. All right, so as you've already learned in a ton of previous lessons, the biggest thing you want to look for when it comes to angles in a diagram is straight lines. Because I know that there's 180 degrees in a straight line, or really it's called a straight angle. So I'm just gonna go ahead and look and see, well, do I have any straight lines? Yes, it's telling me I have 1, 2, 3 straight line segments. So I know that I can try to utilize all of these to help me solve this question, which is good. But before I just jump right in, if I were to use, let's say CD as a straight line, I don't know this missing angle up top. Same thing if I use EF, I don't know this missing angle on the side. I feel like there's too much missing information. So now I want to try to start filling in some of those missing angles to help me solve this question. I know that if this angle is x, I know this angle down below is also going to be x because those are vertical angles. They are right across from each other. if anyone's having trouble identifying vertical angles, I can just highlight the line segments that form X, which are here and here. And then I'm just gonna extend those yellow highlighted line segments. So I'm gonna come straight down and I'm gonna come straight across. And as I'm highlighting them, you can clearly see that if this angle right here is X, I know that this yellow vertex, this yellow angle over here, also needs to be X because they're being formed by the same line segments. All right, same thing. If this is 90 degrees, I know this is also going to be 90 degrees because those are also vertical angles. They are right across from each other. And if you were having trouble, again, you can go ahead and just highlight those out. So I'm just going to use this red pen here.
Good morning. In the north lot, there's a dark.
So sorry, guys. That's what happens sometimes when you record at school. So we have EF is one of the line segments that's forming this 90. And then we have CD. And this is the other guy that's forming, again, that 90-degree angle. So I can see in this red vertex, I have 90 degrees. In this red vertex, I also have 90 degrees. All right, so again, you can do this at home if you're having an issue to make sure you are definitely using vertical angles, and it might just like not look like vertical angles. All right, and then the same thing, I'm just gonna finish this off. I know that if this is 4x minus 10, this is also 4x minus 10. I have a yellow and a red. Up top, I have a yellow and a red. I know they're vertical. They are equal. They're congruent. They're the same. All right. So now let's go ahead and start solving this guy all together. So now that I know all of the missing angles, I could use the same strategy that I used in the do now. I could form a circle and have all of them adding up to 360, but I want to use a different method on this question just because we already used the 360 method in the do now. So let me grab a different color highlighter. I'm gonna make a half circle on that line segment CD. All right, I want this to be the line that I'm choosing because again, there's 180 degrees in a line. And as I'm looking through, I can see that there's 1, 2, 3 angles that are lying on this line. So I should have 1, 2, 3 different angles in the equation that I'm about to set up, and they should all equal 180 degrees because that's how many degrees are in a line. All right, so I can see the first number here I have is 90. So the next is 4x minus 10. And then the last is x. All right, and now I'm gonna go ahead and just start combining some like terms. So just like up top, I know that 4x plus x is gonna give me a 5x. I know that 90 minus 10 is 80. And then that should equal 180 degrees altogether. And then again, I'm just gonna follow the same steps. I'm gonna combine my like terms on both sides. So I'm gonna subtract 80, and now I'm left with 5x equaling 100. And then last but not least, to get rid of that 5, I have to divide it out, again on both sides. X equals 20, and I'm done. Am I really done? Let me just make sure that I reread those directions and finish the question completely. So it says find the unknown variables. Okay, the unknown variable was x and I found it. So I know that this first part of the question is complete. Next, it says find the measure of each angle. I don't know if I did that necessarily. So I'm gonna go back and just start filling that in. I know that this little box represents 90 degrees. So I know if this is 90, this is 90 as well. And then I still have x's here, boys and girls. I gotta fill that in. So I know that x is 20. So I can go ahead and say, okay, well, this angle is gonna be just 20 degrees. Again, x is 20. This will also just be 20 degrees. And then I have to plug in x for these vertical angles. So I'm really gonna do 4 times 20, right? 4x, 4 times 20 minus 10. And when you type that in a calculator, you get 70 degrees. And then again, if this is 70, I know this is 70. But I wanna just plug that in one more time to double check. Then I'm getting the same answer. 4 times 20 minus 10, when you type it in, Again, I am getting 70 degrees, so I know I'm good to go. So my final answers are 70, 20, 90, and then again, 70, 20, 90. All right, let's move on to the next page. All right, as we look up here at number 2, it's the same thing that we were talking about on the first page. If you can make a circle, that's great. It should add up to 360. And if you can use a line segment, I should add up to 180 degrees. All right, so let's check it out. As I look at this diagram, right away I'm noticing that if this angle is 24, I know this angle has to be 24 degrees as well, because they are vertical angles. They are right across from each other. I don't necessarily know if I can tell what this angle is gonna be, so I'm just gonna leave that alone for right now. I am seeing straight line segments, just like they told me in the directions on the first page. I know that AB is a straight line. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab a highlighter, and I'm just gonna make that half circle on that straight line. All right, and now in my half circle, I can see I have 3 angles inside. 1, 2, and 3. So I know when I add up those 3 angles, it should make 180 degrees because I'm on a straight line. So I'm gonna go ahead and set that up right now. So I have my first angle plus my second plus my third, and again, it should equal 180 degrees. So I'm gonna have an x plus 24 equals 180. I'm gonna go ahead and combine my like terms. That would give me a 2x plus 24 equals 180. And then I'm just gonna continue solving through. I'm gonna combine like terms on both sides. So after I subtract away that 24, I'm left with 2x equals 156. And then again, the opposite of multiplication is division. So I have to divide out 2 on both sides. And then I finally found that x equals 78 degrees. All right, now if you think back to the first page, the directions ask us to not only solve for x, but to find all the missing angles. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug that in. I know that x is 78 degrees. Again, I know x is 78 degrees. I have my vertical angles here, 24 and 24. And now I have this missing angle down below. There's 2 different ways I can find this missing angle. I'm gonna show you the easier method first. So just like we said before, I could go ahead and make a full circle. And I know there's 360 degrees in a circle. So if I add up all of these angles that I know, which would have been 24 plus 78 plus 78 plus my other 24, these 4 angles, when I add those together, I end up getting, where am I? Da-da-da. Okay, let's do that together. Hopefully you can see this. So we have 24 plus 78 plus 78 plus 24, and I'm getting 204. So again, I know this equals 204 degrees. Now, if I just need one angle left over to find, I can take that 360 degrees, that's my total number, subtract away what I know, which is 204. And when I do that, I'm left with, again, let's bring this back, 360 degrees minus 204 is 156 degrees. And now I would be done because I also found the measure of each missing angle. Now, one more method to find that angle. Try to follow with me. 156 is the angle that I was looking for. If I use the method I showed you on the first page, I know that these blue line segments are forming that 156 degree angle. If I extend them all the way over and all the way up, I can see that 156 is a vertical angle with both of these 78 degrees. And then if I check it in the calculator, 78 plus 78, let's try that out. 78 plus 78 and you can see that it is 156 degrees. All right, so I could have used angles at a point, all of them add up to 360, or I could have looked and said, well, I know that this one angle is a vertical angle with both of these guys combined together. All right, let's move on to number 3, our last and final question. So again, as soon as I'm looking at number 3, I can see that I'm gonna have vertical angles here. So that's just a first step that hopefully you'll be thinking at this point before you start looking for a circle or a line to get that 360 or that 180 degrees. You should fill in as much of the diagram as you can. It'll probably help you later on. So if this is an x minus 10, I know this angle up top has to be x minus 10 because they're right across from each other. They are vertical angles. Same thing, if this is x minus 11, I know this is x minus 11. They are right across from each other. They are vertical angles. Now I know this might look a little bit different, but that's okay because once I solve for x, because every single angle uses x, except this last guy, and again, that's okay. Once I plug it in up top, I know that whatever this number is, this guy's gotta be exactly the same one because these are also vertical angles. All right, let's go ahead and try to look for maybe a half circle here. So I'm gonna do one right up top. And then I just like to also bring it over so I can clearly see what's in that half circle. So I see I have 1, 2, 3 different angles. So I should have 1, 2, 3 different angles in my equation. And when I add all of them together, I should be getting 180 degrees. Now for this specific example, I would not be able to use the 360 degree method because I can't combine an X and a Y, and that's not gonna help me at all. All right, so I'm just gonna use the top half here because every single variable is the same. I can combine those and it will help me solve for my answer. So I have my first angle, X minus 11, plus my second angle, 3x plus 6, plus my third angle, which is x minus 10, and altogether it should equal 180. I'm gonna go ahead and combine like terms. So x plus 3x plus x gets me a 5x. A negative 11 plus 6 minus 10 is a negative 15. And again, that's gonna equal 180 degrees. And then just like before, we finish it off by combining like terms on either side. So when I add 15 to both sides, I get 5x equals 195. And then to get rid of that 5, instead of multiplying, I have to do the opposite, which is dividing. And when I divide that through, I get x equals 39 degrees. But again, I'm not done. I'm not just solving for the missing variable. I have to plug it back in. So let's show that work. So if x is 39, now it's not going to be x minus 11, it'll be 39 minus 11. All right, which is 28 degrees. Again, I won't do 3 times x. I'm going to do 3 times 39 plus 6. When I type that in, you get 123 degrees. And then again, instead of plugging in x minus 10, I'm going to do 39 minus 10. See if we can fit that in right here. And that gives me a 29 degree answer. All right, and then the same thing here. If this is x minus 11, and so is this, they're vertical angles, they are equal. So if this is 28 degrees, this should be 28 as well. So 39 minus 11, again, I'm getting that 28 degrees. And then these are vertical angles as well. So if this is 123 degrees up top, I know this is 123 degrees down below. All right, make sure you guys get your homework done and submit all of those pages onto Canvas.